I think, Lana, maybe the problem is, I think you and I are rational and we understand this, but it's freaking out enough people to where they're saying we absolutely cannot allow Donald Trump to win, and they are afraid that Joe Biden cannot beat him. And part of that is that prior to the debate, he was losing in pretty much every poll. Now, the one thing is that Biden was making a pretty big comeback. I mean, he was turning the tables and he was coming around in a lot of the polls. And in some polls, at the 538 poll that always comes out, they do the 100 different times whether or not somebody's going to win. And Joe Biden would come out on top 52-48 sometimes, 51-49 out of 100 times. So, I think you and we understand it. I think that there's a lot of people out there who think that a lot of people who are going to vote at some point don't understand the ramifications of what happens if Donald Trump wins. And I think that's why they're panicking. And I think that's why they're freaking out. Do you have something to say? Because I want to read, because you were asking a little bit about who is saying this, who is asking for the replacements and who is doing this stuff. So do you want to say something first?
I know you have a clip or something.
No, I got a little article here that I want to read. President Biden is struggling to contain mounting dissent from the Democratic members of Congress that has culminated in a call for him to withdraw as the party's nominee. Biden's campaign has attempted to quash concerns about the president's political strength and fitness for office by casting doubters as overwrought, but the strategy now appears to be backfiring. And part of that is, I'll get to that here in a second. It says, some of us don't want to wake up on November 6th kicking ourselves because we had all of those red flags and warnings and we couldn't muster the courage to do something about it, said one House Democrat that went unnamed.
Right.
But Representative Lloyd Doggett, he is a Democrat from Texas, on Tuesday became the first sitting Democrat member in Congress to call for Biden to step down. And he was joining former Representative Tim Ryan. Sheldon Whitehouse said in a local TV news interview on Monday that the Biden campaign should be candid with us about his condition. Representative Debbie Dingell, a Democrat in Michigan, said the campaign needs to listen to us. Senator Peter Welch, Democrat from Vermont, in an interview with Semaphore, chastised the campaign for its dismissive attitude, alluding to a fundraising email last week that dismissed those with concerns as bedwetters, which seemed to upset quite a few people. There's a lot of apprehension. That's an understatement, but there's no way to describe it. And that is Mike Quigley. He's a Democrat from Illinois. He said public worries are surfacing this week because it took some time to process the fallout from Biden's poor showing Thursday's debate. And members are starting to digest how the public is being influenced by this. So, I mean,
how the public's being influenced by them, because the public's not being influenced by Biden so much, because again, when they interviewed those independents right after that bad showing, even before North Carolina rally, they're like, I'm voting for Biden. Like, they still said Donald Trump lied, has no policy. At least we heard some form of policy coming from Biden. It's still like these lawmakers are saying this nonsense, because where do we go? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to you because you're smart. And that's the problem with smart people and people who are intelligent. All of this
is smart, right? Like, the lawmakers, like, they should know you can't just put a campaign together like that's just not how that works.
So I think here is the problem with the lawmakers and the people who are smart, who are signaling, that there are concerns about this. I'm not necessarily sure. Some of them are stating their concerns about Joe Biden specifically, but I think the other concerns are really coming from the voters who may not understand, why they're voting now for Donald Trump as opposed to Joe Biden, because of a debate that happened not that long ago that really, at the end of the day, pales in comparison to a Donald Trump presidency. So I think the concern is really the people, the people who are going to vote. And are they going to understand, like you and I do, that this doesn't make any sense? That's the problem. Now, it is incumbent upon them to make it make sense.
These people can't remember what happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks
Agree.
ago. Do we really think that they're going to go to the ballot box and think back to this debate? I beg to differ. Like, they're just not going to remember that. That doesn't even make any sense. I think like we're making it worse by drawing this out. We just are, because when you introduce a new candidate, you're going to lose a swath of voters, right?
Mhm.
You're going to lose loyal people who are loyal to Biden, who are like, fucking Democratic Party. They don't even support their own. Why would I vote for them, right? They push their own guy out because he's what? Old? So what do the old people think? Like our striding through true voters, those are the voters, right? Like the older, the what is that, the 50 to 70 or 40, 50 to 80. What are they going to think, knowing that like y'all just push that man out, right?
Yeah.
And again, they can't even push him out. And again, he can't even leave. If he dropped out now, what happens to the delegates? He hasn't secured the nomination yet. He doesn't have the delegates to even give it to anyone. So you're going to have delegates that are like, oh,
it becomes a free-for-all.
Yeah, I want Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah.
I don't want Kamala. No, it can't even happen now. So even if it did happen, it can't even happen until after the nomination. If he thought about doing that and then giving it to Kamala, because it would have to be Kamala. It can't not be Kamala.
Correct.
It cannot, because then you're not going to have Black women voters. They're going to be like, how the
you
hell
are going to alienate a lot of people if you bypass Kamala Harris. There is just no question about it. I mean, she's the vice president.
Exactly. She's the heir.
Yeah. I mean, she really is. But and you're right. I mean, that just goes back to what we were saying, and we say it all the time, is that people in this country don't remember things. We're still in the moment a little bit about this,
right.
And we're still in the feelings, and we're still nervous, and we're still, hell, even before the debate, we were going to be nervous no matter what. Now Lana made the point last week is, the Republicans, if this were them, they would stare you right in the face and say, what the fuck are you talking about? Get the fuck away from me. We're still moving completely forward, and we will run over every one of you assholes who are in our way.
Exactly. They would be pointing you to Trump. Here we are. Trump's having rally after. I read somewhere that he did some rally and he froze for seconds upon seconds.
Yeah.
I heard it. I didn't see it. Where is it? I mean, I saw one person tweeted about it. That was it.
Yeah.
Because we're so busy doing what?
Well, you know what I think? You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid of, because you know what I have not seen a lot of lately? The Palestinian protesters and all this stuff. So this is going to replace that. So now they have some other way of getting attention, of stomping their feet and saying, hey, look at me, I'm right again. You're going to have the Bernie bro, all that bullshit. And this is why sometimes the Democrats will shoot themselves in the foot. Now, admit it, I mean, it's just fact that ever since 2016, when Trump won, Democrats have really dominated elections.
So why are we separating? Like, why are we changing the program right now? I'm pretty sure Republicans have concerns about Trump. They all do.
Yeah.
What you're not going to hear is them talking about it, because they're not going to talk about it. he's good, he's the best, he's this, is that, right? We can't even do that. We got some here saying this, some here saying it's and Republicans freaking love it. They're like, yeah, let them dominate the news. Meanwhile, we'll fucking take their rights away, fucking idiots.
I actually think that the Demo or it seems like the right wing, and I don't know because I don't watch much of it, but I haven't seen a lot of the right wingers really talking trash about Joe Biden because I think that I think they think that they're in better position now to win the election with Joe Biden being the nominee. And I really believe they're going to get a pretty big shock on election day that I think once they realize that Joe Biden's staying in the race, that he's not going anywhere. And the polling is showing now, you would have thought after the debate, what everybody's fear was is that Trump would go up in the polls by 6, 7, 8 points. That has not happened. In fact, there were a couple polls where Joe Biden was still leading against Donald Trump post the debate. There were reports that we played last week that undecided voters said after the debate they were voting for Joe Biden, and that included Latino voters. Right. So, when things start to settle and this starts to move on and Joe Biden gets out there, now what is the play for Joe? Because there is a part of me that does believe he needs to show his face. He doesn't have to be on TV every fucking 5 seconds. He doesn't need to be on interviews, but maybe contact anybody with concerns and say, guys, just be with me. I've got this. Just trust me. You know what I mean? I think it would be important to reel in the coalition a little bit and say, I understand your concerns. I truly do. But if you have my back, I promise you we are taking this thing to the finish line. I just promise you it's going to happen.
Right. And, and as we say, it's not just the president, it's the administration, right?
Correct.
We do understand that by the time if Biden is reelected and by the time it's all said and done, he's going to be like way up in his 80s. Like, we get that. He is going to lose his step and he is going to be forgetful. But that is also why he has an administration. Like, I know he can't do everything. There's no one on this planet that can remember all of these countries and all of these prime ministers and presidents and dignitaries. Like, you just can't. You've always got someone in your ear saying this is blah, 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 blah. You're always going to have that. So he's always going to have someone around. Like, I think we'll be okay. Like, I don't think like all of a sudden America is just going to like fall flat on its ass and the economy is going to go crazy. Like, the administration is going to keep moving.